I was with the sadistic torturers, foster parents, from the ages of 3 to 7 years old. It was during these times that I had my NDEs. I will do my best to make this coherent. It's sort of like trying to unpack someone else's clothing and put it away neatly in a house you've never been in before. It's overwhelming and hard to put things into logical and understandable order. One thing I want to make sure is understood is that I did a lot of fighting against what I was told, taught, or had downloaded during these NDEs. This one, in particular, has plagued me for my entire life. I'll try to express my own struggles over it at the same time that I try to express the messages clearly. Also, this one was a particularly fascinating NDE, and there are things to express from that standpoint, which will also be a challenge. As I rose from my body, I found my friend waiting there for me. My friend was a humanoid-shaped form of light who radiated kindness, love, and patience. We ignored the commotion of the foster mother trying to revive the body. I stood looking up at the body. Everything is up from the perspective of a child, although I could clearly see everything around me. What is it that you wish to ask, but have not? It conveyed the question soundlessly. Why? With that question, I asked a dozen others, why me? Why suffering? Why this horrible world? Why did I go back when I could leave? Why would I come here and accept such horrific things when I am a spark of the divine, a portion of the great intelligence? It was a cry of confusion, anger, pain, and loss. It held out a proverbial hand and asked me, are you sure you want to know? All that you suffer now will go easier on you if you do not know. I pondered, searching myself. Did I want to know if it would bring me more pain? In the end, I decided that I wanted to know. I could tell that my friend already knew my decision. There was a nod, and we were off. First, we went into the chamber of the great intelligence. What you might call God. This was the loving, vast, incredible being who made all things, is all things, exists as and through all things. I received the download that answered my questions of why as far as I am allowed to have those answers while here on Earth. After a great length of time in that presence, I reluctantly went with my friend. It took me to a world with two suns. One sun was brilliantly red gold and the other sun was a pale white. One might confuse it for a moon, if they had only known Earth's skies. But in that place, I knew it was another sun. It was smaller than the greater sun, but greater by far than our own sun. Both suns were many millions of times further from that planet than our sun is from ours. This planet had vast cities, unlike anything here. There were magnificent, towering edifices that were gleaming with crystalline shine. They were not built, but rather grown in a process I do not, and did not understand. They were teeming with life, not merely the intelligent species of that planet, but with animals. Some of these animals were climbing creatures who nested far up in the tops of the great hollow houses. Even as I watched in wonder, they launched themselves off and glided from one vast pinnacle to another, scurrying up the side and disappearing inside the houses. They were similar in body to flying squirrels, but their faces were more like anteaters, though this is an imprecise comparison because no such things exist. It was joyful and beautiful. The intelligent beings who lived there were filled with laughter, happiness, and sublime contentment. I understood immediately the fullness of life on this planet. I could see when it broke apart from a sun, spinning and cooling and collecting debris, until the first of these creatures heard itself laugh and understood the sound for what it was. In that moment, self-awareness was awakened and the seeds of civilization sprouted. These people were golden-skinned and willowy in appearance. They were somewhat similar to humans, although their faces were more softly defined and rounder. They wore clothing, but it was to express themselves as the clothing had no other cultural or physiological purpose. They danced and wove cloth through the air. I wished to go closer and learn more, but it would have been disrespectful. I was brought to another planet where the people lived in sprawling huts that were far apart from each other. These people were not like what I expected of intelligent species. They were not bipedal and used their feet much like hands, although their back legs were hooved. They curled their hands into fists to run, and there were hard protrusions on the backs of their knuckles. Perhaps this was where my innocent childhood belief that I could, too, grow up to be a horse came from. Though they did not look like horses, or any earth creature. These people were joyful, peaceful, and lived in harmony. They were very attuned to the planet they lived on. They spoke of the planet and to the planet. There were 2 other intelligent species there, and all 3 lived together and worked together in a strange symbiotic manner. The tents these creatures lived in were made by gentle, ape-like beings, and the ape-like beings were carried on the bellies of the 4-legged beings. The 3rd race of beings were ape-like as well, but more similar to humans in their faces, without the prominent forehead of Cro-Magnon humans, but not as softened as modern humans. The 3rd race of beings could see us, and raised their hands in greeting. This prompted the others to do so, as well. It was a strange sight. We bowed and sent them blessings before moving on. As we went from place to place, I saw wonders everywhere. I was shown non-intelligent species. I was shown splendors of every kind, like waterfalls and being taken into the heart of a burning flame. I skimmed the surface of a sun, playing in the shifting energy and heard its jubilant joy at giving life to so many wonderful things. It was the most joyful, beautiful, wonderful, amazing experience anyone could possibly have. The size, the scope of it cannot be expressed. I met with incredible, spiritual beings like my attendant, friend, and my guide. They all were filled with contentment and joy. Everywhere in the universe was great love, dignity, respect, and compassion. It was so exquisite that I can't contain my tears as I have a diminished capacity to remember this experience because this is all that my brain can encompass while in this reduced, small, and limited form. To go from where I was and into this has been almost unbearable. To truly know what lies beyond and to know beyond all doubt that it is magnificent and fantastic beyond all conception, makes living here, in this form, so hard. I try not to think about it. Another reason I have rarely spoken of my experience is that it makes me yearn ever harder to return to it. After a great deal of time exploring, seeing beautiful and wonderful sights, we stopped in space near a nebula. Nebulas are even more beautiful than they appear in photos. That is the answer to your question. I understood that everything that we do here on Earth, all that we are, all that we experience, allows creation to exist. Every beautiful thing, every wonderful being and creature, whether on Earth or in any universe, relies upon people who are on the extremely rare places like Earth. The great intelligence, God, is a paradox. It is completely loving and fully unlimited. Which by the definition of paradox, means it is impossible. It cannot be limited only to love, it cannot be limited to only being unlimited, or it is not unlimited. Earth is a place where the unlimited becomes limited, where the singular becomes many. Here, it can know community and loneliness. It can know heartache and hope. It can know all which an unlimited being of pure love cannot. It can conceive and perceive evil, which in truth it cannot do this either. To solve the paradox, it must experience helplessness and limitation and all as it is real. In this place, it is all so real. So what is free will? Free will is the option to come here to help solve the paradox of God. To be all that we are not, so that everything wondrous and joyful may continue to exist. So that love itself may continue to exist. So that the unlimited is not limited to being only unlimited. Why are the answers always simply to exist and to choose love and to learn how to love? Because all you need to do to solve the paradox is to exist. And as we exist here, each time we choose love, we expand the universe. Love is life's longing for itself. Despite the reality of what we live, even the darkest souls among us cannot help but to reach, to yearn, and move towards goodness and towards love. For love is the true nature of who we are. And when we experience horrible things, the question why comes to mind because it is the central question of love, life, and of this world. The answer is so that all things might continue to exist. Every soul chose to come here and to suffer because of love. Each soul loves the universe, loves life, and loves this world and all of the worlds. Each soul loves all of the people so immensely and intensely that they chose to come here so that all the universes may teem with beautiful, joyful life. Every creature that I saw acknowledges that your life gives them the gift of life. And when each soul goes home after they die, they will know the rewards of their own gift, too. The reward for their sacrifice will be joy, love, and feeling incredible, wonderful, beautiful joy at the life and the love everywhere in the universe. When you go home, you meet your own soul. You willingly came here to forget yourself. You willingly came here to save every beautiful and wonderful thing. By suffering what God cannot, you give the gift of life.